before we came into this body. Where were you? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know where you were before you came into this body?
Twinkle in the eye.
Come on. Probably in your dad and mum's eyes.
Right.
Now we know where you came from.
And after you leave this body, where do you go? Do you know?
Nope.
Do you know? Who knows?
Twinkle into the star.
Twinkle in the star. Yes.
I used to visit a friend of mine the other day, and she's got a 7-year-old daughter, and we were talking about when they got married and I was at their wedding, and the 7-year-old said, well, where was I then? Why wasn't I there? And my friend said, she just didn't know what to say, and then she said, the little girl, she said, I know, I was infinity.
Oh, wow.
And my friend and I were just like, yes. And I looked at her and she said, you're way too deep for me.
And Diani, what were you going to say?
No, you just said if you knew where they were, I knew where I was.
So what do you know? What do you know? There was this businessman, and he was very, very worried, and he was thinking constantly, my business is not going well. So one day, his staff, his manager, went up to him. He said, Master, why are you so worried? Who looked after everything before you came into this world? And the master said, well, the Lord did. Who will look after everything when you leave this world? The Lord will. So why don't you allow the Lord to look after everything while you're living? It'll be much easier. And this is what we need to see more in our lives, that our lives are very transient. We're just visitors, souls visiting the earth in these physical bodies, and that we have such accommodating bodies and healthy, and we can walk and we can move is such a blessing, But we are really just visitors. And if we can keep that in our mind constantly, I am just a visitor. And if you go to somebody's house and you visit them, how do you behave when you're there? Yeah? With respect, with love. You feel gratitude. Thank you for inviting me. And then they serve you with food, and they serve you with all these things. And when you leave with gratitude as well. And the journey of the soul is like that. If we can think of this earth, and when we come, we are visitors here, and that we should honor this earth and everything in it, because everything in it is a gift to us. Nothing is ours, including, like I said, our body doesn't belong to us. It is just a temporary costume that we were given. So why does the soul keep coming back? I asked myself this question for so many years. Who knows? I just said one thing. Would I rather be dead and not experience? And the answer was, I want to experience everything, every moment. And what I didn't understand earlier was the process of suffering and pain. Oh, I loved living when everything was going right. This is before yoga. But I did not like living when everything was going wrong. And the gift yoga gave was to see the whole journey as this potpourri of good and bad, laughter, sadness, tears. It all made a beautiful movie. And then I thought, oh my God, when I started to understand this, I can act this movie. I can have so much fun in this movie. I can play the sad parts really well. And I can play the joyful parts really well. I can enjoy it all. Pain and joy. And this is the gift that yoga gave me. But it's not yoga. It's the soul. It's the joining to the truth. It's the joining with that is everywhere. And that's the gift we are given, because if you constantly remind yourself, constantly, and this is the practice, I am not this body, I'm not this my immortal self, I am. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self, I am. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self, I am. I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self, I am. Oh, then many things can be achieved in your life. Many, many things. You can overcome many problems because you're reminding yourself it is temporary. And as Lord Jesus said, this too shall pass. And more, they call it New Age philosophy, but I think it's also very wise. It tells us to live in the moment, because that is all we have. And that is just the truth. That is the total truth. This moment is all we really know. You can think something may happen tomorrow. And you can focus on your past. But it has no more really relevance on this moment. It's our attachment to the past that gives us all what we think in our conscious mind and keeps us stuck. But if you can just let go, let go, let go, and remind yourself that the soul is just journeying through these experiences because it asked to experience. It asked. You know what was funny? My granddaughter one day was sitting with my daughter when she was 4, and she said to her, "Mommy, I don't want to die." And my daughter goes, "What are you talking about, death? Why are you frightened of death?" She goes, "Mommy, no, I don't want to die because when I'm dead, I cannot eat food and I cannot hug you." And there it was. And there was the answer. And she thought, and she also said to me one day, "You know, Granny, I have to tell you a big secret." "What's the secret?" She said, "You know, before my sister was born, I knew, I saw her. She said, 'Do you see this?' I had this ring on for a long time. And she said, 'Do you see that little diamond in your ring, that very little one?' I said, 'Yes.' She said, 'That was Natasha. And she told me she's coming to be my sister. But don't tell anyone, Gran.' But she doesn't remember any of this now. Because she's now 11, she doesn't remember. She's told me many, many things that used to come out of her mouth. And so we are just visitors. And we choose each other. We choose each other to be together because we've known each other. That's why we recognize each other. And that's why there's this natural feeling. There's this natural feeling of connection. Because we have already known each other. And so we've chosen each other to play this earth role together. And what happens? Most of us get too serious. We don't play our role with joy. And this was, for me, a great awakening by watching Gurudev, Sri Swami Satchidananda. Really watching him the first week I made him my guru. He lived with me for 1 week. And, we have this image of this master walking in, very, everybody's in awe and everybody's frightened. But when I lived with him for a week, he was fun. He was always laughing. He jumped into the pool, was the best swimmer I know. And then suddenly I saw him do the lotus on top of the water. Can you imagine? And I realized real spirituality, the real journey of the soul, is to love everything we're given. Because the energy of the divine is that. In the Upanishads, any of you read the Upanishads? They're beautiful. They're beautiful. See if you can get copies of them. Simple ones, not too complicated. Not too much philosophy. And it says, they call this God the Lord of Love. The Lord of Love. No larger than a thumb lives in the hearts of all. The Lord of Love is neither up or down, to your side, to the left. The Lord of Love is everywhere. in you, not in you. And as the spider weaves its web, so does the earth takes place, just like hairs come out of our bodies. And our hair, the Lord of love grows in all directions. I mean, it is so beautiful. So if everything is made out of this substance, why are we here? Why are we here? Like I said, to experience. We experience, we get non-attached, we let go, and then we have the higher experience. And in this body, we are capable of having the highest. And once I asked Gurudev, but at a point in my life that I thought pain as pain, now I see pain very differently from the way I did many years ago. So what's the point, What is the point? He said, Nalanie, you are sitting here, and I am sitting here. This is the point. Shakespeare said, it's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And you read all the greatest poets, they all sing of love. They all sing of kindness. They all sing of joy. And they all sing of pain. The extreme emotions bring out the best work in people. I've seen people who have been so sad, and they come to me and they produce the most incredible poetry. I go, well, now you know why you have to be so sad, to create this and share it with so many people. If you were not in that state, you could not produce this. Some people produce things in joy, some people produce things in sadness. But there's something produced, otherwise you were dull. You were not interesting. You were quite a person that just lived in the world without any purpose. But the pain brought your purpose out. It brought the adventure out. It brought the spirit out. It made you search within for that which is so magical in you. So don't become angry with the pain. Make friends with the pain, because it has come to remind you, to remind you who you really are. Otherwise you get too comfortable in mediocrity. You just get too comfortable. If everything is going well, then there is nothing. And Gurudev said this, when he told me one time, he said, Nalanie, if everything is peace, 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 then what do we have to do? Nothing. There is nothing to do. There is no journey. And when you really understand that, then you experience the spirit, because that's what we are. We're the soul. What is the soul? The mind with the spirit. What is realization? Clean mind, just spirit. So the soul is connected with our minds. If our minds are very disturbed, our lives will be very disturbed. Gurudev said, it all started here. If you want to live in heaven, then you make your mind filled with thoughts of heaven. If you want to live in hell, then fill your mind with horrible thoughts. Choice is ours. That is the great gift from the Lord of love that we have been given. The Lord does not judge us. We're just loved. And it is us we're given this great freedom to either flow with the highest level or get so involved with this earth, so attached to everything, so judgmental about everything, and then we will suffer the consequences of what is in this earth. As Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to God what is God's. So when we live on this earth, if we want to live a good life on this planet, then what we give out in this earth will have cause and effect dramatically. So this is why it's really important for the soul to understand that we must plant good seeds. Because if we don't, we are the ones that lose out on this journey. We don't make the most of this precious, precious life that we have. And this time round, guess what? We all can move, we can all talk, we can all sing, we can all see. We've been blessed. And in these bodies, we can do much. And as we do much in service of for all, again, why? Why for all? Why service? Because the Spirit is one. So when you serve somebody else like you're serving yourself, you experience that connection. But first we needed our Master to show us that this kind of connection, this is why guru-disciple relationship is very, very important. Because when you have that surge, and all of you met Gurudev, have felt some kind of surge. I remember many years ago when I brought a team of 18 here to Yogaville, one of our students who'd been coming to the talks for a few years said to me, "Oh, Nalanie, what happens if I see Gurudev and I don't feel the pull?" I said, "That's no problem. He's not your guru. Finish. Full stop. Why do you think so much?" You know, as it happened, when he gave the first satsang, she said she visually saw a beam of light from his heart go directly to her. He said, and she said, "He heard what I told you." I said, "Yeah." And you were open to receive. You were open to receive. So it is that connection. Once you feel it with one person, you understand it is possible with all. And why would you receive it from a higher person? Because that person is already realized. It's just that we have forgotten. So it's a reminder. Hey, you talk about being one. Are you really living as one? Because if you're really living as one, you will really look at the next person and feel. You can feel them. You can experience them. It's an experience. But if your mind is full of I, me, mine, like Mataji said, you're blocked. You haven't really understood. You can say, the Lord of Love is everywhere, but you haven't understood it. And this, again and again, is the pitfall of spirituality. It is really much better to say, I am walking this journey. I'm on my path. I'm on my road. I'm not perfect. I felt like I was starving for knowledge when I first started. I was like, literally, I can't read enough. I can't get enough, And so many start with enthusiasm, and then just because a little pain comes, or they get a little disappointed or disillusioned, and they stop, and I go, why do you stop? This is part of the path. Disillusionment is part of the path. Don't you understand? To know nothing is real. It's all temporary. It's a reminder. But don't stop. Don't stop. The journey can take as long as you like. It's through many lifetimes. Somebody said once in one of my talks, "Oh, Nalanie, I live life so much. I don't want this to be my last life. I don't want to be self-realized." It means I can't come back. Honest, she told me that. And I said, wonderful, then stay happy. Don't worry about not coming back or coming back. Just stay happy. That's the goal. You're not concerned. You just come to satsangs to be happy. I think it's wonderful. No motive, no desires, no attachments, even to the goal of peace. So many people are, I don't want to come back another life. I don't want to come back another life. Oh my God, how depressing. It's not up to you anyway. And if you say, I don't want, you probably will come back. You haven't learned to be free. How can you're caged in the I don't want, How can you be free? You're not free. And I love the words of Swami Vivekananda. He said in the end, he said in his earlier journey, he used to feel that way, that he didn't want to come back to this earth. But at the end of his life, he said, "Dear Lord, bring me back as many times as you like, so long as you promise never to let me forget you, and you promise that I'm of use and of service." And for me, that was the most beautiful thing I thought I had read. Because really, we don't know. Infinity, we're infinite. Can anybody even fathom that? Can we even guess it? Can we even really start to understand it? Impossible! And if anybody tells you they can, they must come from another planet. The only person I knew was kind of like our master. But the mind can't do it. And yet that's what we know we are. Infinite. We never die. Space never dies. Never dies. It's only matter that dies. And space is in us. Take away this body and we are space. There'll be no divisions. We have when we die, at the point of our dying, if the mind is rife with attachments, then you won't enjoy the space of the spirit. And this is why in all the yogic texts it will tell you it's really important to find your spirit now, so at the point of your death, you will know exactly how to keep that mind in control. Because as you think, and if you're not liberated at the point of death, the mind, the thought, has a reality. Because that is how we work with the Lord of Love. We actually work with the Lord of Love. Keeps creating through us. It's just space and energy. How else can it create but through us? So this great, great freedom and this great, great generosity and this great, great compassion has been awarded to all of us. But we got too deeply rooted here on this earth and we forgot. And the journey is just to remember. And when you remember, you start to have lots of fun. And somebody asked Pram about, I think it was you last night, about, was it you, punishment or good or bad? There's no good or bad, yes? And there's none there. The good and bad comes from us here. And whatever we sow here, we will get here. And I'll tell you a nice story maybe to explain this a little bit. It's a story that I loved. I think I might have told it. I tell it many times, but I'll tell it again because it's one of my favorite stories. And it's called The Swami and the Prostitute. The Swami lived on one side of the river and the prostitute lived on the other side of the river. And the Swami was doing lots of pujas and lots of people used to come to the temple. And he used to look out of his window and look at the prostitute, and every day in his mind, she wasn't there, horrible lady, what's she doing there? People like this should not be on this earth. Shame on her, the way she lives. And the prostitute on the other side of the river would look at the Swami longingly every day from her window. And this is in India because they really look down on prostitutes, we have the untouchables, etc. So she knew her place in society and she looks out of the window and she says, "Dear Lord, please, 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 in my next life, can I be like that Swami? Look at me, I have to feed my children. I have no other education. The only thing I can do is prostitute myself to feed my children. Please, God, next life, can you please make me like this Swami?" And this went on for years. It just so happened that they both died at the same time. So suddenly the spirits, and they meet there, and she's so happy, and suddenly a golden carriage comes and picks her up. And this dark cart picks picks up the Swami. He said, hey, you got it wrong, my friend. I'm the Swami. She's the prostitute. So the rider of the chariot goes, Swamiji, let me show you something. I'll take you back to earth. He takes the Swami down to earth, and he sees his funeral. Hundreds of people at his funeral. And he goes to him and he goes, see how many people at your funeral? See, I told you, I was the good one. You see, this is the proof. And he goes, yes, on earth, you looked after all these people, so they all come to your funeral. But you did not look after your mind at all. All the time in your mind was this thought of causing pain to this poor prostitute. You did not help her. You just condemned her. Come, let me show you the burial of the prostitute. So her body is thrown on the beach. All the birds and seagulls are eating on it. It's an awful sight. She did not look after her body on earth. So all the animals are eating at it. She didn't even have a good burial. But her mind was all the time full of prayer, all the time full of love, all the time in service. So she gets the golden chariot. So you see, it's really very important what's in our minds. And that's why we never know what is good or bad. We cannot tell sometimes. We really don't know. You know, Gurudev tells us a story in his Apostle of Peace. Any of you read his Apostle of Peace? Okay, if you haven't, please read it. It's wonderful. And he tells a story, I think it's that one, maybe it isn't, but anyway, one of his books, that he's in India when he left his home to find God, right? And he met many saints along the way, many different types of saints. And one day he's walking on a road, and there's this Swami that everybody's frightened of, this monk that everybody is frightened of. And he goes to this Swami and he goes, Swamiji, I want to learn from you. And the Swamiji turns around, takes its stick. Says, you dirty, rotten fellow, why do you want to come and learn from me? Don't you know I eat meat and drink brandy? And he starts to throw the stick at Gurudev. And Gurudev answers, falls on the floor, he says, I know that is not you. And the Swami drops his stick and he says, come my son, come and learn with me. And he constantly did that because he only wanted people who were really willing to learn the true science and look beyond good and evil. To look beyond. He wasn't interested in the masses, and he himself, the Swami, was worried by the attention and fame the ego might give him, because he had been caught in his past before with all the tension. Because this is the danger. When you get spiritual, your energy does grow, everybody. And sometimes we'll get very, forget it, or very comfortable in that. And again we are warned of this spiritual ego. It's very dangerous. It causes a lot of pain to a lot of people, especially to yourself. This is why it's really important to maintain humility. And one of the ways that I always think, because when you first start your path, in the beginning, and so many wonderful things happen, it's very easy to get the mind to think it's more than what it is, to think you're better. And my constant prayer was, dear God, never let me look for fame or fortune or any of these things. So I made a firm promise that all this knowledge would be always given freely. And I have kept this promise to this day, so I'm very happy to be able to do that. Whatever you pay goes to the ashram or to charities or whatever, or to cover costs, but never for gain. But that was my prayer, so that I would not get caught in the world of materialism again. Because I just, I ran a business for 23 years, and I realized that it was hard work and money didn't make me happy. So I told my husband, when my kids were grown up, they've gone to university, I've done my duty as a wife, I've worked with you, looked after the kids, I've managed your retail businesses, and now, goodbye. And he goes, what about everything else? I said, I don't need money anymore. I am going to find my way for my spirit. It was hard for him because I managed the whole business for him. Externally, he did all the accounts, but I used to do the buying, and it was a hard decision for me. And we talked about being strong, and you have to be strong when you follow your highest truth. Highest truth. I've done my duty. So long as I did my duty, which is bring up my children, make sure they went to the best schools, and then now I could go on and go to my spiritual life. And there are many stages in our life, and we come here to experience each one. And each one brings a depth to our knowledge. We never stop learning. I think the moment we think we're too smart, we've had it. Not only that, it's no more fun. Life is no more fun. Life is full of inspiration. I often give the example. We don't know what is going to happen, what we're going to discover. Look at science 100 years ago. Look at technology. There are no such things as computers. Just 100 years ago. And look at us, nobody can do without their computers and their mobile phones. Just 20 years ago, we didn't have mobile phones. It goes back less, 10. I think I bought mine 10 years ago. I refused to get mobile. But then I realized in this day and age, when you travel a lot, is important. Different world, different... We have to work spiritually in the time that we are in. So we need to adapt ourselves, adjust ourselves, and accommodate. In the old days, it was very different. So spiritual knowledge now has to be given in a very different way. Didn't you hear Pramanjali said last night? Wasn't that talk brilliant, by the way? I thought it was great. Didn't you hear her say last night that a lot of people now don't want to go into bhakti experience, guru disciple. I don't want that after all they've seen. Why? We've had many gurus who've been very commercial, so everybody's a little disillusioned. We've had religions and priests and from all the different traditions take advantage. Sorry, I don't mean to say that wrongly, because I love all the traditions and I love all the religions, but it's the people that have developed the ego and spoiled the name for the beautiful teachings. Because people can be corrupted. What does it say? Power corrupts, and supreme power corrupts supremely. Right? So many people have been disillusioned in this day and age. So from my own experience and what I'm feeling now is more and more, because this bhakti, the guru-disciple relationship is not so common anymore, which is really sad because it's a dynamic thing. I mean, my goodness, it is beyond words. It is like Mataji, you saw it. Just by her talking, you could experience her relationship with Gurudev. Thank you for asking her that. Clever of you. So what the new way is, I feel, because of the times have changed, technology has changed, people have more intellectual knowledge, you can get spiritual knowledge from everywhere, but how to experience? So the change now all of us have to make is to find that Guru within, as our Master told me. He said, Nalanie, use me as long as you like as a crutch. Once you find the Guru within, let go. And that was the hardest thing in the world. But I hadn't understood what let go meant. Let go just meant let go of the physical. let go of what you think is the way things should be, and hold on to the teachings. And that you can only hold on inside of you. You can only hold it inside of you. So I think the new generation, all of us, have to change the way we are more and more. In the old days, they had more time for silence, more time for tranquility. We don't seem to have that now. So now our job is to make sure we make time for silence and tranquility. Make time for self-examination. Make time to bring that which is divine in us out from ourselves. We cannot depend anymore. We lost the chance for that group-disciple relationship. Some of us were very blessed. Not everybody has that these days. But they understand the language that the divine is everywhere. So you can connect from your own, make yoga. Yoga is union, it means union with the highest self. So make yoga any way you can. Read the lives of all the great saints and sages. They're the pathway. Forget about the disciples. Read the teachings of the top. I was starving, so I read Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharishi, Master Shivananda, anybody, Vivekananda, Chinmayananda, all the masters that came from actually Swami Shivananda. One master brought so many great souls to this earth in this last 100 years. And just now, in the last 10 years, one by one, they've all left this earth. Chinmayananda, Satchidananda, Chidananda, all the great giants. They were giants in spirituality. You should have seen Chidananda. Oh my goodness, have you read any of his works? I think there's a DVD out here, Mind, Mysteries and Its Control, with Swami Chidananda and our Guru. Watch it. I met him in person in India, sitting next to Guru. Very privileged. And his favorite prayer was, he was so thin, so thin, and he was very sickly. And he was there like this, and he was just repeating St. Francis's prayer. There was just this big glow around him, and he was repeating, make me a channel of your peace. And Gurudev was sitting next to him, and Gurudev looked so strong, and you could see the difference in the two saints, and how light appeared in one, and how light appeared in the other. And it was the same message in different ways. And both were like, Gurudev had this enormous, courageous energy. And Chidanandaji had this holy, saintly quietness. And they were just, wow. And I thought our life should encompass these two things. Sometimes we should have that dynamic, and the other times that saintly. And it's just wonderful to see, wonderful to feel that dynamic energy. And on they tell us all the time, these great saints, be that. Lord Jesus said, you are my brothers and sisters. They will know you as my example by the way you love each other. Again and again and again, we hear the same thing, by the way you love each other. Again and again and again, we get so upset when somebody hurts us. It's almost like we don't have a brain anymore. We don't seem to hear. We listen, but we don't hear these great masters telling us again and again, and we'll follow somebody. And then you get disillusioned because this person really wasn't holy, that you thought they were holy. Don't get disillusioned. Go for the highest. Save yourself that trouble. If you found a master, stick to it. That's what my Gurudev said. You find a master, stick to it, and dig deep. You will have a lot of doubts. You will have a lot of, is this the right one? Oh, this looks odd, as in the master of the brandy. I eat meat and I drink brandy. You get lots of doubts. But learn, if you bring up the light in yourself, you recognize it in somebody else. All right? So this is our work of the journey of the journey of the soul is exactly that, to discover that love and light in ourselves. That is our journey. Everything else dies on this earth. Nothing else makes sense. You can go to, if you want to be smart and study all the philosophy or theology in the world, great. But when you die, it goes with your mind. It really has no effect in the other world unless you use it spiritually. I knew a gentleman, and I'll finish this with this story. I knew a gentleman, absolutely intelligent, came to live in Gibraltar for a few years with his wife and his children. I loved talking to him because it was, you could sit there for hours learning. Suddenly one day I get a call from him and he's gone into depression. Severe depression, his wife calls me. So I go and see him and I was shocked because he could quote every single scripture from all the different traditions. He was, a dynamic mental library there, and yet he had this deep depression. And, we talked a lot, and I realized what was missing. It was all his mind, and he hadn't developed his spirit. So, of course, when somebody dear, his mother passed away, then his father passed away, then his brother passed away, it was too much. He couldn't take it. Because he had developed the brain understanding death, but he hadn't developed his emotions understanding death. Do you see? So he didn't know how to do it. So he just collapsed. So it is really important in our life to nurture the spirit throughout. Never stop. Bring that light out in you. Constantly, constantly. Make time. Inspire yourself. Inspire, Pramanjali said last night, the three things that help you to find that. Accepting pain is help for purification, study of spiritual books, and surrendering to God. The second one is a really nice physical daily tool you can use. Have sayings. When I first started this path, I was working in a retail business, I was very busy in the business world, etc., buying, and I knew I kept forgetting, because you do get forgetting. So what I did is keep little booklets in my purse, my pockets, sayings. I used to write them, stick them on my bedside. I had Master Shivananda, I had Mother Teresa. My whole night bedside was full of sayings. So that when I woke up in the morning, because I couldn't do it here, I had to train it. The first thing I would do is look at that wall and read all those sayings. And of course, when I'm at work and people are rude sometimes or obnoxious, many times they think just because they have money, they can treat you badly, So it came to my business, I was like, no, this is all my test. And I go to the ladies' room for 2 minutes, take out one of these little books that would elevate my mind, take 2 deep breaths, remind yourself, Nalanie, don't get caught. Until the time came when I no longer needed to do that. So self-train, all right? Train yourself. That's the way you do it, practically. All right, with that, yes?
It's Emma's birthday today, on Monday.
Oh,
yes, and she was going to be here with us.
Yeah. Ama is an Ama that we know in Portugal. One of the most incredible human beings, very young, right? She did the Raj TT with us in 2009 in Portugal. She's a nurse. She was a nurse, and one of the best nurses you would ever meet. I always said if I got sick, I'd want her to be my nurse. But last year, she developed breast cancer. Was it breast cancer or whatever? Anyway, ovarian cancer. And throughout her chemo and throughout her sickness, she kept on saying, "I'm not this body." And she was laughing. She was so happy till the day she died. Yeah, she was like this. She was so positive. So it was a little bit of a shock to many of us because she was so very positive. She was so in the spirit, but she died so beautifully in that spirit. She's quite, and she had, what was her favorite thing when she would fantastic.
Incredible, no? Incredible.
Whenever she loved Raj Yoga so much. Every time she came into the classroom, we go, fantastic, incredible. And she had this huge voice, you know. And many people found her too much. But when they got to know her, oh my God, her eyes, her spirit, you know. And many people say, oh, I don't want to be next to Alma. I said, you don't know what you're missing. She's an enlightened soul, you know. She was. And I think her time was up, because really I never met anybody more positive, doing all the right things to stay alive. I think she just got what she needed. She served, she loved, she gave. Incredible soul. And she was supposed to be with us
The
on
last
this
thing
trip.
she said was, I'll be here with you.
Yes. So she's here.
She called me about a week
And
before
it's
she
funny that
died.
it's laughing yoga today.
Yeah. She was always laughing. Always laughing. Always laughing. Such an amazing soul. So she is here with us today. It's her birthday. Thank you for telling us. So we'll finish off with, should we do St. Francis's prayer for her and us, all of you to sing it for those who know it? Would you like that? Because it's also Hanuman's, Hanuman showed me today her father's burial, and you had St. Francis there for him. So, and he keeps coming up today, doesn't he? So I think let's sing it for your dad as well. Maybe he's trying to talk to us.
If you want to share, thank you. Just a few, just to share.
Not many, do we?
Not many, because I had not a lot of space in my suitcase. I brought half of Jacinta with me. It's page 28 for those who've got the book.
And for those who know it, just sing along, yeah? Shanti will start.
Yeah.
And if you close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath. Amma, for you, my friend. Hanuman, for your dad. And for all those departed souls that we love so much. All these prayers for you.
Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy. Oh, Master, grant that I may never seek so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned, in giving to all men that we receive, and in dying that we're born to eternal life.
Jai Shri Satguru Satchidananda Ji Maharaj ki Jai.